Following last week's major abortion case at the Supreme Court, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, we wanted to take the chance and respond to extreme abortion rhetoric we are seeing in the mainstream media and beyond right now. Here is one example from ABC's The View last week.
Do any of you men have any eggs or the possibility of carrying a fetus? How dare you talk about what a fetus wants? You have no idea.
Reaction from celebrities poured in elsewhere. Tennis star Billie Jean King wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post about why her abortion story shows why the Supreme Court needs to protect Roe versus Wade. And in a new interview with ESPN, Olympic gold medalist Chrissy Parham is coming out in support of Roe, sharing publicly for the first time that she had an abortion at 19 years old while a college athlete. Joining us now is this week's pro-life panel. Prudence Robertson is the communications associate for the Susan B. Anthony List, and Jessica Kramer is a video host for MRCTV, an online media platform that exposes media bias. She is also a Catholic writer. Thank you both for joining us for this big week. There's a lot to dive into. Jessica, you frequently track abortion coverage and rhetoric in our media. Are you surprised by anything that we're seeing right now?
Absolutely not, actually. Speaking to the Whoopi Goldberg clip, I think oftentimes a lot of the left and feminists in particular are trying to really divorce men from the Procreative Act, which all it does in turn is actually just rid them of all responsibility when it comes to abortion. So not allowing them to engage in the conversation, I don't find is very helpful for society. We're also seeing athletes come out speaking about how they need abortion in order to succeed at the highest level. But you have examples like Serena Williams, who won a tournament pregnant, and she said, pregnant or not, I'm expected to win. And she won. You also have the volleyball player who said that she was put here to play volleyball and have babies. So you have women on one hand doing both, having children and also succeeding at the highest level of their professions. But I think the left is constantly engaging in abortion as an assertion of their wills of women over children, not seeing us as independent persons and relying on each other, which is why the viability obsession is so potent on their side.
Very well said. You know, Prudence, and it's not just in the media that we're seeing this abortion rhetoric. There was some abortion misinformation that was even included in last week's Supreme Court oral arguments. Let's take a listen to something that Justice Sonia Sotomayor said.
The minority of people, a gross minority of doctors, who believe fetal pain exists before 24, 25 weeks. It's a huge minority, and one not well founded in science at all. So I don't see how that really adds anything to the discussion. That a small fringe of doctors believe that pain could be experienced before a cortex is formed doesn't mean that there's been that much of a difference since Casey.
Okay, Prudence, a lot to unpack there, but can you provide some clarity? What is the truth when it comes to fetal pain?
Yes, I mean, all I would say is that I truly hope that Justice Sotomayor was briefed on what was going on outside the court during that same moment when she was arguing this, because I was out there and I was privileged to be surrounded by nearly 100 board-certified doctors who would speak to the science, the updates in technology that show us that unborn children can begin to feel pain in the womb as early as 12 weeks gestation, 12 weeks. Yeah. That's when their sensory organs and pain receptors are really beginning to form. And even doctors on the pro-abortion side of this issue will attest to that scientific fact. So to say that this is a fringe, part of science, a fringe minority of doctors that believe this is just absolutely wrong. And all of those doctors at the court today and their colleagues around the country would speak to that, I'm sure.
There we go. It's not fringe at all.
Fringe.
There were a group outside the Supreme Court steps, Prudence and Jessica, of abortion activists that did something very disturbing. They took mifepristone, one of the two abortion pills, on the morning of the Supreme Court case. Jessica, what does that reveal to you about our culture today?
Well, first of all, I think I was really concerned because I was thinking about it. I was like, these women are either pregnant, now we're witnessing a public abortion, a public murder. They're either getting pregnant on purpose for the purpose of a public demonstration, or they're actually not pregnant, and then they're taking this pill that is going to block their body of the natural production of progesterone, which is terrible for your reproductive system. So that alone was just like insane for me to see. What I ultimately think it shows is the natural progression of liberalism. You start out with something that is tolerated in society, it's seen as an outlier, but then it just naturally evolves to having to be accepted and then celebrated. And I also see a lot of them becoming very defensive, and I think that shows they really want affirmation and absolution, but without penance and without forgiveness from God.
Right. Prudence, what did you make of that pro-abortion display?
You know, like I said, I was there, and a friend actually texted me a picture of this going on about 50 feet away from me, and I couldn't even move myself to walk over there to see it in person. It just, my heart breaks for those women, and I'm praying for them because they've been clearly misinformed and lied to about the danger that they've just opened themselves up to. I mean, the side effects of those pills are severe heavy bleeding, potential for incomplete abortion, and severe psychological and emotional distress. Not to mention CLI research that analyzed over 400,000 abortions that took place in 2015 or before. The numbers of women that were rushed to the emergency room after taking pills within that pool of abortions basically proves that at least one of those 3 women that were at the Supreme Court on Wednesday will end up in the hospital in the next 30 days because they ingested those pills.
That's devastating and all for the pro-abortion cause. And this rhetoric that we're seeing, this pro-abortion rhetoric, it's reaching the highest levels of government right now. Here's how President Joe Biden, a baptized Catholic, reacted to oral arguments last week.
I haven't, I didn't see any of the debate today, the presentation today. And I support Roe v. Wade. I think it's a rational position to take.
Jessica, what are your thoughts that we have a Catholic president who is openly supporting legalized abortion in this nation?
Yeah, there's nothing Catholic about it. It's very sad to actually see this. Ultimately, I actually think that this shows that liberalism has crept into the church, that we think that as a society we can separate theology from politics. But I believe it was Cardinal Manning who once said that all human conflict is ultimately theological. So this pervasive lie in society that thinks that we can have a neutral society, that relativism is somehow neutral. Ultimately, the statement that you're claiming there is no such thing as absolute truth is an absolute statement.
Wow. Prudence, we have about a minute left, but I did want to ask, has there been any other pro-abortion rhetoric or messaging that you want to respond to right now?
One thing I did see that just struck me on Twitter the other day was a video of a Christmas tree with abortion ornaments on it saying, "Abortion pills forever, we love abortion, abortion access for all." And all I could think was, wow, this is the moment where we're supposed to be celebrating the birth of our Lord, Christmas. Meanwhile, Democrats and people in the pro-abortion lobby are celebrating the death of over 62 million children lost by abortion that were intended for this world, and so many more. Look, the pro-abortion side, they're spouting old talking points, and in the oral arguments last week, we didn't see any proof that we should be championing a right to abortion, a so-called women's right. We did see updates in science and technology that prove that it's time for states to be allowed to pass laws that reflect the will of our people. We're the supposed leaders of the free world. It's time for us to get out of the company of China and North Korea when it comes to our abortion laws, and it's as simple as that.
I'm grateful to have you both so we can speak some truth to a lot of lies we're seeing right now. Prudence and Jessica, thank you both so much.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.